You ever come back home after years away just wanting some peace and find out some lunatics turned your family's lakefront paradise into her own personal kingdom? Yeah, that's what happened to me. I rolled back into town after 3 years, deployed overseas, dust still caked on my boots, sunburnt, dead, tired only to see a $2,000 electronic gate blocking the same dirt road my grandfather built with his bare hands. Some woman, Deirdre Hutchinson, had the nerve to install stone pillars and security cameras pointing right at my cabin windows like I was a criminal and she was queen of Willowbrook Estates. No kidding. The minute I pulled up in my old Ford, this gate's robotic voice started barking at me for a resident access code. I nearly spit my coffee, thought I'd landed on the wrong planet. And before I could even fish my keys out, here comes Deirdre down the hill golf cart screaming, designer sunglasses, bouncing hair helmet perfect. She screeches to a stop and starts hollering, private property, you're trespassing, like I was some random drifter instead of the guy whose name's on the deed. So I just rolled down my window calm as you please and held up that piece of paper, my grandfather's signature from 1987, clear as day, back when Deirdre was probably still playing hopscotch and dreaming about being a dictator. Her face went from smug to ghost white so fast I almost felt bad for her. Almost. But let me back up and tell you how this whole disaster started, because I bet some of you know exactly what it feels like to have your family's land targeted while you're off serving your country. Drop your city and state in the comments if you've ever had to defend what's yours. I read every single one. Name's Marcus Brennan, 34 Army engineer, just finished a long, dirty tour dodging IEDs and missing home every damn day. And while I was doing that, Deirdre was orchestrating the slickest land grab you've ever heard of. My grandfather bought this patch of heaven for $12,000 in 1987, 40 acres, 800 feet of Lake Thornton shoreline pine so fresh the sap still stuck to your hands. He built the cabin himself, pencil marks from his measuring still scratched into the beams. Every summer, every 4th of July, our whole family'd pile in, kids fighting over fishing rods, adults arguing about who caught the biggest walleye. That deck railing worn smooth by 3 generations. When Grandpa passed during my deployment, he left it all to me. The deed was airtight, the will ironclad, and I had plans to retire right here. But you can't exactly leave your platoon in Afghanistan to come home and babysit a deed, you know? That's when Deirdre made her move. She's 52, fresh off a messy divorce, clutching her insurance payout like it's a winning lottery ticket, shows up in Lake Thornton ready to civilize the locals. Bought the ugliest concrete house for miles thing, looks like a shopping mall got in a fight with a fallout bunker. Started dumping fertilizer on imported bluegrass, choking out every wildflower for half a mile. Now, Lake Thornton's always been a place where neighbors help neighbors. Need your dock fixed. 3 guys show up with a 6-pack and a chainsaw. Septic tank backs up, folks chip in $20. No questions asked, no permits, no drama. But Deirdre decided she was running the show. Started demanding voluntary road maintenance fees on a county road that's been public since Jimmy Carter was in office. Each morning she'd cruise around jotting down notes, sniffing for violations, her masterstroke. While I was overseas, she convinced some half-asleep county clerk to reclassify our access road as her private community entrance, slap that gate right where my land meets the county line. Suddenly, old-timers who'd fished here since the 60s had to pay her $50 to visit their grandkids. And here's the kicker, she told everyone I was dead. Sold the story that my place was abandoned and she was temporarily managing the estate. Started giving tours to developers, telling them where they could bulldoze my legacy for profit. When I finally rolled up, expecting maybe a little dust, but nothing worse, I found locks changed, family photos boxed in the tool shed, and cameras everywhere. She'd spent 3 years trying to erase my family like we'd never existed. She honestly thought she'd gotten away with it. But she forgot I was a combat engineer and messing with my inheritance was a tactical blunder. 3 days later, I get a thick envelope reeking of her perfume full of fake legal threats. 8 pages of community assessments. I supposedly owed $3D $600 in made-up fees, $500 for the gate she installed to keep me out, $200 for compliance inspection. She even tried to fine me for my grandpa's old shed and compost pile, claiming they were code violations. Said I owed dues to an HOA that never existed when I left. A lot of folks would have panicked, maybe called a lawyer, lost sleep. But Army life teaches you to gather intel before you go full Rambo. So I hit the courthouse digging through old records. Turns out Deirdre never legally formed an HOA, never filed the paperwork, never got approval. She just slapped a sign up and started charging people. The road reclassification. Done without public notice, total scam. County engineer admitted they just rubber-stamped her request, no questions asked. But the real motive, money. Her divorce settlement said she had to keep her property value over $400,000 or lose alimony. Lakefront rights boost value, so she wasn't just being a control freak, she was desperate to stay afloat. I learned she'd been charging 7 families $2,100 a month in fees, pocketing every penny, no maintenance, no receipts, nothing, just theft, pure and simple. I started visiting neighbors, bringing my grandma's cookie recipe for peace offerings. That's how I found out she'd told elderly Gladys I was dead, tried to buy my deed from probate for peanuts, even cooked up fake legal documents on her home computer. Only thing that stopped her was Gladys's grandson. Turns out he's a paralegal, smelled a rat right away. Every day brought new drama, private property signs everywhere, cameras multiplying like rabbits, police reports filed, claiming I'd threatened her. She weaponized social media, painted me as an unstable veteran, blasted my name across Facebook, called for the community to protect itself. I kept my cool and started gathering evidence, trail cam footage of her landscapers dumping trash on my shoreline, videos of her charging public fishermen $20 to launch their boats on public water, all of it going straight into her pocket. Worse, her made-up assessments pushed 3 families behind on their mortgages. Mike from the bait shop had to take out a second loan to pay her emergency maintenance fees. Gladys was eating beans for dinner just to cover septic compliance penalties Deirdre invented. That's when I knew it wasn't just about me anymore. This woman was bleeding an entire community dry. Time to hit back. Enter Sarah and Tom, Justice Cabin neighbors and actual attorneys who'd been quietly researching HOA law and found Deirdre's whole operation was smoke and mirrors. We joined forces, started piecing together a lawsuit. At the same time, County Commissioner Janet Holloway, running for re-election, got wind of the fiasco. Nothing motivates a politician like angry voters. She backed us fast. Meanwhile, Deirdre lost her mind. Floodlights blasting my windows. Herbicide killing off Grandpa's wildflowers. Phony letters about community violations piling up. She even called my Army CO at Fort Bragg, claiming I was dangerous, needed a psych evaluation. Military lawyers don't play when civilians make false mental health reports. Captain Rodriguez from JAG came in swinging, filed complaints, prepared testimony. But the big break, Sarah uncovered Deirdre's divorce files. Her house was underwater foreclosure, looming alimony at risk. She needed my land to inflate her appraisal. I realized every threat, every fee was just her scrambling to stay above water, not some evil mastermind. So we went on offense. Sarah filed a quiet title action to clear my deed. Gladys supplied every fake invoice, Mike organized witnesses, Janet rallied political support, and Rodriguez prepped military testimony. I reported Deirdre's unlicensed business to the state, which started sniffing around for tax fraud and license violations, potential fines in the 6 figures. The escalation was wild. Private investigators attempted bribes to county officials, fake Facebook rumors about my military record. She even tried to plant drugs on my land, but the PI she hired had enough of a conscience to tip me off and hand over recordings of her conspiracy. Meanwhile, neighbors banded together, posted photos of her gate online, and the story exploded. Local news, then state news, then national veterans groups. Finally, the showdown, county commission meeting, standing room only. Channel 7 News, sheriff, county attorney, neighbors all packed in. Deirdre strutted in, late lawyer in tow, tried to play the victim, flipping through fake documents and demanding they condemn my land. But this time the county attorney was ready, laid out every charge: unlicensed business fraud, bribery, false police reports. I stood up, held the original deed, surveyor reports, bank records showing stolen fees. The evidence was ironclad. The room erupted. Neighbors spoke out, demanded refunds, exposed her lies. Her lawyer quit on the spot. Sheriff's deputy served her with a fraud warrant. State revenue hit her for $47,000 in penalties. She pled guilty to fraud, paid $23,000 restitution, lost her house, and vanished back to Minneapolis. Within days, county crews tore down her fake gates, restored the old dirt road, and peace came back to Lake Thornton. We built a real legal road co-op, transparent books, volunteer board, no drama. Mike's bait shop boomed again, property values went up, the wildflowers came back. I started Operation Homecoming, a fund to help military families defend their land while deployed. In 18 months, we've helped dozens of families, shut down a dozen fake HOAs, and taught thousands how to protect themselves. The best part, I married Sarah Justice on that lakeshore. Neighbors, veterans, family, everyone there laughing and eating fried fish. We turned that ugly fight into something real: community respect, a future. So here's what I want you to remember. Verify any HOA before you pay a dime. Most are fake. Document everything. And if you ever feel outnumbered, remember David still beats Goliath when he's got truth allies and stubbornness on his side. Got your own HOA nightmare story? Drop it in the comments. I'll read them all, and who knows, maybe I'll help you fight back. Hit subscribe if you want to see more corrupt HOA empires crumble. Because justice isn't luck, it's people refusing to give in no matter how many fake gates stand in their way. The American dream's worth fighting for one property deed at a time.